I call to order this meeting of the Master Plan Implementation Committee on January 31st, 2013. Our first order of business is the adoption of the agenda, which is pretty much on target with what we had before. Monitoring of our couple of committee implementations, moving through our housing review and any reports. Are there any modifications anyone wants to make to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Any abstentions? Bear with me, please. I have to do both rolls today because Kurt can't make it. All right, the next item is the approval of the minutes. Though I know those came out to us just today. We have one copy here. Let me just briefly. It is as I saw online. Does anyone else want to peek at these?
I have it on my phone, so. Okay.
Are there any modifications that anyone wants to make to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I can move now, right? Yeah.
You're movable. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Abstentions? Okay, and we're through that. There's no public to make comments, so our Transportation Committee, as far as inviting key members is concerned, at the last meeting I know you talked about talking to someone else, right? No? Nothing new?
I wasn't at the last meeting.
No, someone else was then, forgive my memory. Strange, I thought you were. I wonder if it was...
By email, I suggested Dave Strong.
Maybe it was you.
Maybe that's...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Because I was absent, so...
Okay, so I was thinking, while we were away, that we should, set a date that we want people to come to. That'll help motivate us to go out and get people to attend. I was wondering what you guys thought of that. What we're trying to do is set up a working group. That's a time when we as a committee say, okay, we're going to just spend a little time talking about this Transportation Committee. We're going to invite people to come in here and just be a part of it for, I don't know, maybe we have a 20-minute session of our meeting, just to kind of get the ball rolling on that. Thoughts? Do you want to do that in, what? Give it some time for people to arrive, maybe set it out for March at this point, somewhere in mid-March?
Seems reasonable, yeah.
That gives us some time to let people know, a few weeks. So why don't I pick one of the meeting dates toward the middle to end of March, and I will just announce that at the next meeting, and then at the next meeting everyone can know that, okay, now you got to go out, talk to whoever you want that you think is appropriate according to the criteria we've already spec'd out, and invite people. Hey, okay, so Jim will set March date. All right, with regard to the establishment of the Energy Commission, as far as I know, nothing has changed there. The mayor and Jessica Stoll are in the process of putting out a notice. Any comments? No? All right, then the next thing to do is to go through our housing review. Sign the book. Alright, I'm going to ask you guys to bear with me just a moment while I try to update these minutes. Alright, Transportation Committee. Hey John.
Yes.
Want to do some typing?
I can do typing for you, sure.
Okay, let me just put this in here. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sorry.
That, and then the Energy Commission. Okay, almost ready. Bear with me. Alright, and let me just add John is here, Leo is here, Michael is here, Maureen is not, Jason is here, Wendy is here, Allison is here. Here, take that. There you go. That 8 minutes. If you kind of scroll down a little, you get to where I'm at. Everything else should be ready. Sorry about that. I just need to prep it to a point where you can take it. All right. We'd gone through the first 15 items. Did you want to say something?
I'm sorry, because I was just re-looking at the agenda, and I thought that maybe, like you had suggested, that maybe it would be a good motivator to actually set a date? Or we just said mid-March.
Yeah, I forget. I mean, I could pick a
I feel
date
like-
right now. That's totally cool.
I just feel like for me, for my involvement in terms of the responsibilities that we have outside of this meeting time, I think it would be helpful for me to think, oh, okay, by this date, I should try to talk to a couple people.
Oh, cool.
That helps me.
It's good in talking to them too, to go, like if we spend the next 2 weeks talking and nobody's available in March.
Then maybe we could bring that back and then set a date in April or something.
21st of March.
Is that?
That is, I follow Thursdays, excuse me, 21st of March.
That seems good.
Okay.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah.
You see that line item? All right, awesome. Good point, thank you.
This was for transportation.
That is for, Transportation Committee Working Group. Okay. Does anyone have the Excel document I passed out last time that has the key on it? Awesome. Because we will need this key to continue.
Key to the meeting.
It's the key to the meeting.
V is for vetting and also...
So Sesame Street. Shall we continue on this list? Number 16. Take municipal ownership of Route 10 from the South Street intersection to the Southampton line and implement traffic calming measures as well as install a pedestrian bike-friendly lane. Route 10 from the South Street intersection to the Southampton line.
I think you're wrong.
Where are you on?
I'm looking at the strategies. Thank you. Page 20. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Thanks. Review East Hampton zoning ordinance to determine whether current regulations are too restrictive for building affordable homes. We have the zoning review going on right now, right? In fact, wasn't one of the items we had earlier sort of waiting for the zoning review?
Yeah, we were talking about that, holding off until they have an opportunity to revise the entire ordinance.
All right, maybe that was the artist housing one, number 5. Well, I think that what needs to happen there is that we need to, basically wait for them to complete it. So that's what the ZBA and any takers on a key item there. Do we vet it with the ZBA once they come out, or is there a wait? What do you think for an appropriate item there? Anyone?
I would say the planning department, actually, because they're going to be involved with getting the consultant to do that.
So basically what we're saying is there's a big review that we're waiting on. It's coming out soon. It's due to arrival. Everyone's on the edge of their seat and excited about it. So we want to wait for that because it could be included. What do we have for, wait for a committee? What's most appropriate? It could be vet, or maybe we need a new item. I'm going to say vet.
I think it's
planning department.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, now I'll get rid of the ZBA. Okay, number 17. Thank you.
Thanks, I'm gonna take it.
Work with the Council on Aging to help educate elderly about housing resources. I don't know anyone that's done anything on that, so I would say we need to go in front of the Council on Aging. So that has no progress, NP, and we need to vet it with Council on Aging. Number 18. Work with developers and property owners to create infill housing in downtown areas. Well, we've talked about that one before.
Isn't that one of the top strategies of the whole?
It is, yeah, and it's one of the ones that we've talked about extensively. We went and discussed this with the, what committee was it?
The Housing Partnership.
Yeah. And they basically said that they were going to try and get additional information, I think.
That's right.
Where we left off. So it's actually gone a little beyond, we've actually checked with them and vetted already. I'd say it's probably in the discussion stage at this point.
I would agree with that.
So discussion stage with Housing Partnership. Okay. Next. Create rental support program that would help people with first, last, and security deposits.
I think you missed that one.
Didn't I miss that? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. Adopt inclusionary zoning ordinance.
And I think that would go back to the planning department and, yeah.
Okay, so that's planning department vet. And then just pretend I had said the other one.
Right.
And again, that's create rental support program that would help people with first, last, and security deposits. I'm unaware of such a program existing.
And wasn't there something that had proposed CPA money for that? It's a very similar...
I remember us discussing something like it in the past. CPA, huh?
Well, we talked about CPA for down payment assistance.
The top one is CPA with a rental voucher program.
That's it.
Would that be,
That's
it's
very similar, isn't it? I mean...
up to 100% AMI, so...
We've discussed possible unrealistic goal and vetting it with the CPA to see if it's realistic. Do you think it would be the CPA that would handle this as well? Does that seem similar?
My only sense that it wouldn't be similar is because, in my experience, housing funds that are tied to I don't actually know what the CPA is, so I'm not going to pretend that I do, but my sense is it's federal or state dollars. And I'm pretty sure that federal or state dollars would not be able to be used
Yeah, I think
for
that's
first,
wrong,
last, or
actually.
security deposits.
it's direct city tax money.
It's city taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Community Preservation Act,
Okay.
so...
All right.
But I do think that we had sort of thought that CPA was not the appropriate place to get
No.
the funds from in that first... My take on what we had determined was that it was maybe a little bit of an overreach to assume that CPA funds would be reasonable to use for getting
There
people
would
their down
be
payments and
a
stuff.
lot.
I think then the thing to do that we had discussed was to check with CPA to see if whether or not they thought their funds might be
From
appropriate.
that first one, and then your question was, should CPA be involved in this one? And I guess I'm saying I agree with you. I think the answer is no.
I guess we have to ask to honor the plan. Is that like?
Or we can
Well,
think of
this
some other
doesn't
source.
say-
This one doesn't say CPA, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
I kind of brought it up. I was trying to remember
Oh,
the
you're
first
right. These are
one.
specific.
I wasn't here for that, but
Yeah, I was just referencing the fact that my brain was going, didn't we talk about something like that?
Right.
It says create a program.
so that to me sounds like it implies created a city program that comes out of this building somehow. So either through Housing Partnership, they're in this building. It sounds completely separate. If they reference specifically CPA up here, I don't
Yeah.
think this here does not imply.
I concur. I think it's clear to say at this point that there's been no progress on this so far.
And if we did this one, it might circumvent the need for the first one that we all thought was a little sketchy. In other words, if we succeeded at number 20, maybe number 1 there it didn't need to come from CPA money.
I can't think of anything else that would be appropriate here other than there's been no progress. I mean, it simply hasn't been done. There's no place or discussion from it. Is that appropriate?
Seems to me.
Okay. Moving on to 21. Develop live workspace linked with Pleasant Street and Cottage Street artist community. There was an artist thing we did already. Artist housing. This is more specific.
So this definitely exists. I mean, people are living and working in Eastworks. Is this the kind of thing we're looking at? Has this happened since the plan was written? And now,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yes.
there's definitely people living and working in Cottage Street. So
Cottage
this
Street,
seems like it's done.
Done or underway or
Yeah.
Ongoing?
Yeah, so we can go. I think ongoing, but more than that, it's also in the implementation stage, maybe. But it's being
I
done.
would say both of those.
So implementation and ongoing. S plus O. Okay. 22. Hey, we made it to the other page. Members of the East Hampton Housing Partnership and other housing supporters can write letters to the editor of the local papers to discuss affordable housing issues.
That
I
has
just-
definitely happened.
Didn't I just hear a rumor that we're losing our branch of the Gazette? They're pulling out of East Hampton.
Yes, they are
Oh,
gone.
they're gone already?
Yes.
Wow, that happened fast.
Did we lose Rebecca too? Was she?
I think they
Oh, no,
shut
they're
it
just
down.
moving them to Northampton.
Oh, okay.
They just closed the
But the
office. in
opposite.
town.
But they'll still be going.
Yeah.
No, they're refusing
We're not
to
losing
do that.
coverage. What did we do?
Yeah, blackball.
That's good to know. I didn't know if they were actually firing staff as part of that closure, so it's good to
There's
hear.
only 2 people over there anyways. They just moved them to Northampton.
Okay, so this says that the housing partnership and other supporters can write letters. Okay, can write letters, will write letters. Look, anyone can write a letter at any point, so that's kind of silly to say, where are we with that? They can write a letter. I think this is really more about getting people to write letters to discuss affordable housing.
Seems like it'd be about education and advocacy about, and I don't know that I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems to be denoted, like, okay, the East Hampton Housing Partnership, it's a group with, priority of supporting affordable home ownership or affordable housing. So to me, that's the who is not as important as the, like, what is it about?
The discourse.
A
Yeah.
little bit related to number 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. And for number 8, we said vet with Gazette and Jessica. This one seems like vet with East Hampton Housing Partnership and maybe Jessica as well. I know you said it's not specifically about them, so I want to...
It's also somewhat in progress, because my experience with Parsons Street is that when these discussions flare up specifically in neighborhoods, people start writing letters. There were a lot of letters written in that discussion. So I don't know if that's probably part of the record, actually, from that long public meeting process. So, I mean, this is sort of an in progress, and I think, yeah, it definitely ties and highlights the education piece as being, something that needs to continue.
So looking at education pieces as a whole, then, if we're kind of broadening the reach of this, like who's tracking to see if that's done? I mean, it's in progress, it's happening occasionally, but there's no monitoring, there's no...
Yeah, I don't know. I would think
There's no oversight of
the
anything.
better thing is to, with the planning, maybe the planning office, if that's where it's being vetted, is make it more proactive, then make it, rather than having it be this flare-up that
Reactive,
goes on. Yeah, reactive.
So we'll say vet, East Hampton Housing Partnership, and Jessica, and in progress. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. In progress, what do we have for in progress?
Some progress.
Some progress?
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Some progress, plus a vet. Adopt zoning ordinance that allows for accessory buildings on residential properties that could be used for residence or studios.
it goes back to the zoning.
Yeah, they kind of updates the zoning.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, I think any kind of vetting we do needs to happen after the zoning update comes out, because we don't know what they're doing, so we'll wait for that. So we're going to vet with the planning department.
Like, something that's coming up for me is that there are definite categories within the strategies. Like, for example, probably at least 5 of the things we've now mentioned all need to be vetted with the zoning board, before we can take further action in terms of implementation. And I guess I feel like grouping them together makes me feel like, I know that that's like against kind of why, like the fact that they're kind of separated, but I guess in thinking about our own process, I feel like there may be, I don't know.
I think I hear what you're saying. Like, what if when we get, there's only a few more here,
Right.
and after you've done that, why don't we just pull out,
Like,
these
there's
other
kind of some categories that feel similar in terms of like how do we move them forward. Like, I feel like categorization may help some of them
We're
move
definitely
forward
gonna
more quickly than others.
Go through the list, and everything that says vet is going to get delegated out, and it'll
Okay, all right, great.
And some of them
Okay.
will be merged, I'm sure, just
Yeah.
because of how they lie within,
common sense to put similar things in similar hands. So 24.
I have a, oh, go ahead. I was going to ask a
No,
question.
please.
You got to read it first, though.
Okay. Encourage mixed-use development in all business districts.
So I'm just wondering, first, is that already part of our zoning? Is that allowable? The mixed use is already permissible? Is that
This
already
falls
a
under
zone?
that 40R idea, doesn't it? This is basically 40R. From my understanding of
So
what
it is.
40R is.
Okay.
Well, and so I'm just like looking, because I
Smart
wasn't
growth?
here last time. Yeah, the smart growth, it basically encourages mixed use. So, because the example which was given was like putting apartments on top of, well, what's now Family Dollar, but in the example it was still the video store. So it was like creating residential above business. That was their explanation of 40R. So, so I think if that has already been,
But that's only true for the 40R districts, right?
yeah, but is that,
What you're saying is that because 40R has been pushed and has been done, and because part of its core process is encouraging that, we can say that an encouragement has occurred throughout the, and yeah, it is only for that, but then again, that is encouragement, so that means it's in process.
Right, although I also then was wondering if, like for number 23 as well, that once that happens, if the zoning board makes those approvals, then, I don't know, encourage, it's a little abstract, but let's say it's an ECAT discussion or, something that goes out in the summit or whatever that encouragement is, it has to follow after the permission is established. It has to be okay that it's done. For example, like in your example, I don't think at the moment that area is actually covered. So if we were to go and encourage everybody
Right.
or at the Family Dollar, we'd
Yeah.
be jumping the gun.
yeah.
So I'm just seeing this as sort of a twofold thing, because first, it has to be established that that's permissible, and then there's the follow-up with whatever kinds of encouragement, again, kind of a vague definition there, but, whatever those things would be. Because I could get behind, for example, I'm planning on, I like the idea of maybe doing some ECAT programming things that are sort of, hey, everybody, let's get your attention and let you know that the town has made it so that you can have your bakery attached to your house. And so we encourage that, everybody over in Franklin Street, you could do this. We encourage you,
General education.
Yeah.
pieces.
Does that make sense?
The question I think you're asking that's good is, can we? And I think because we know through Chapter 40R, which is a good
I don't know
point.
where the overlay is. The thing that I should point out is I see that you guys mentioned it's complete, but I don't know where it is completed, so that's a
Right.
caveat.
I think it's in the center of the city.
So we haven't stretched out to Pleasant yet?
No,
Yeah, okay.
that's in discussion.
Yeah.
I think if we're talking about towards Southampton, is that right?
Or...
We should check, it doesn't go down Pleasant? I mean,
I don't know, Pleasant, I was thinking Southampton.
Like Eastworks. They were trying to bring the cultural district down that way, I know.
I also know that originally when it was being discussed, it was the industrial park that was also being considered.
Well, I know that we have some Chapter 40R, and mixed growth is encouraged in that. So, I think that...
Of the 40R?
Oh, is that back there?
40R application. So it looks like it's going down to the big map, like it goes down Northampton Street to Northampton Line.
I'm going to start bringing my printed book.
Yeah, I had mine on there too.
Being, paper free.
Okay, well, I can look back at that again, but I think also encouraging too in other ways, like where, sometimes
It's only downtown.
All right, yeah, you're right.
literally encouraging like through density bonuses, like you can have added density on this, and I think the city is doing that in some with affordable housing.
Yeah.
That is happening, so I think there are multiple layers of encouragement here.
Is
But it is
density
vague.
mixed use?
Well,
Yeah. okay.
again, it's
Easy.
tricky. It all depends what part of town you're talking about.
You have mixed
Our
use
zoning-
on 10, like with the
Yeah.
oil buildings,
Yeah.
the apartments above and the businesses down below, so it's,
It just kind of, it depends what part of the city you're talking about, because
Right.
I think what
zoning
we've got
is
here
really
is some
different.
progress.
Yeah, I think so.
Some progress.
Some progress.
That's some progress. Okay. 25.
This one is
Work with owners of existing downtown properties to encourage them to build up their properties by adding second floor affordable rental units above existing single-story retail and commercial spaces.
that seems like a more like a specific example of the previous one.
yeah.
See,
How is it
I think I
different?
understand what you're saying before, is that actually by taking these and categorizing them, I feel like 29 strategies is maybe 10
10, or 8.
with like...
10 with a couple nuances that are
Well, it is-
important, and I don't want to lose, I don't ever
Yeah.
want to lose that, but I still feel like if we can check 3/4 of a category of
Yeah.
things off, then I think it would help us, help me.
When we take this final list and put it together, we may be able to create those subcategories exactly like you're saying. Does anyone have any examples of any recent building up? I can't take that. Built up.
Not that's happened.
So I think no progress.
Right, because that's the big difference in this one. It's
Am I
agree with
wrong?
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of
All right.
Progress?
26. Expand membership of East Hampton Housing Partnership through recruitment of developer financier. They want a developer finance. I have no idea if they have that position or not with the East Hampton Housing Partnership. Does anyone know?
No idea.
So we need to vet housing partnership. Secure funding for landlords to rehabilitate their properties in exchange for a deed restriction, possibly CPA funds.
Can anybody clarify what the deed restriction refers to? What does that mean?
It usually means that your rent remains within the affordable housing guidelines for a set amount of time, right? Actually,
Yeah, I used to do, I mean, it's usually would mean you get something in agreement for giving to the community
Right.
an affordable rental or house that will stay that way forever.
I get it.
So you get an injection of funds at the front end, and you give affordable housing to people in East Hampton forever.
Right.
So it's awesome.
That seems like a really cool thing. I'd love for that to happen.
Yeah.
And and in some ways, it's almost like it's not exactly helping people with the money for rent, but it makes rent more affordable or housing more affordable.
housing, quality housing.
So I don't know what's going on with it, but I bet Jess does. Is that Jessica?
Yeah, and even though it says possibly CPA funds, I guess I'm just going to put it out there that I think the CPA funds are getting...
Fish to fry.
Yeah, surely there are other resources.
State and federal funds to really tap into that I don't see really acknowledged
Right.
in here that I could be leveraged to do a lot of things that.
This is actually, my house just got renovated using this CDBG, and for a lot of the owner-occupied units, which are all over the city,
Yeah.
I think specifically it has to be owner-occupied because you're granted and that kind of thing, but that's another place, but that also funnels through Jessica's office.
Yeah.
So, they're a busy office.
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting that. That's really cool.
It's a lot, I mean, it also takes a lot of, I think to make it more widespread, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky, you get it, and then it's been a while, so. But Jessica knows a lot about it because she came from Pioneer Valley, and that it comes through there, so.
I'm gonna vet that, or make a 27 vet with Jessica, but I think it is important to ask her if she can maybe give us a list of some of the possible grant sources that are out there. I know it changes and new things come open, but maybe if we can ask a list of some of the things that have been used or offered as possibilities in the last few years, that'll give us a sense of scope on where other resources might be. So I've added that in.
Yeah, I think thinking back to when the master plan was put together, I think when they were talking about the possible use of CPA funds, they were talking about, if you have an old historic house, etc., that's how you'd get around
I see.
to using it.
So it has to be a really niche situation.
Exactly.
But I don't think they meant that only CPA. I think
No, but
the
that
gist
that
of
was
this-
just an example.
Right, yeah, it was just as an example, right.
All right. And here they are again. The East Hampton Housing Partnership can develop a program about affordable housing for the East Hampton Public Access Cable Channel, a TV show.
There you go.
I mean, can I just ask a bold question here? To what extent is an agency like, and I don't even know what kind, is it's in Northampton and they do affordable housing education, and it's called help me out.
Housing Partnership?
It does affordable home ownership education.
Are they the ones that do those first time homes?
Yes.
Okay,
Valley
yes.
CDC.
Valley CDC, thank you. About organizations that do affordable housing education feel like the folks that would do, because affordable, I don't know.
Are you saying that they might already have something in the can that we could
Yeah, that we could just put on
instead of reinventing the wheel?
I don't think
Yeah.
so. I would
No?
disagree in this situation.
Okay.
Why? Because that seems
Because
like
of
a
the
really good
recent
point.
stuff that happened over on Parsons Street, it was with the Valley CDC and it was handled very badly.
So
And
it is something they could do, you just don't think they're up to the task.
I don't even think, maybe they could. I think it should come from within East Hampton. I think it should be, if this is specifically looking at East Hampton concerns and strategies for our community, I think it should come from within East Hampton and from
Really, CDC has a broader base
different
and
motives.
stuff. Okay.
Actually,
to be bold.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew I was being bold in asking that, and
Yeah.
I just want to say that I think that, a mission of an organization can be, I just think that some organizations can have that as their mission.
I think
And
certainly.
I'm not sure if that is a part of their mission or not, but,
Seems like a resource.
and I have
That's what I was
some
gonna say.
experience with, television programming, and my take would be that probably what might be most beneficial is that they might add to the program. They might have something canned that you can utilize in a program, but probably most beneficial would be something that's East Hampton specific, that might involve local people calling in or getting...
How about Art Street Development, who's doing the 15 Cottage Street project? I mean, they're going to be...
have them as a guest, that kind of thing, right.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing
Or
program.
maybe they have something that they, would like to share, because they're going to be doing affordable housing there.
Right.
This definitely strikes me as one of those issues that I bet this group can bang out in no time.
Yeah.
We get Kathy in here from ECAT.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think that vet East Hampton Housing Partnership and no progress is where it currently stands, but we all have ideas about how we can change that.
And it does seem
about
education
DS on that, too?
specific, I feel like.
Discussion.
Okay, sounds good. Well, are people talking about it yet, though? Because that's really what...
What we just did.
Okay, we're the people that, but are we the people that will do it? Yeah, maybe. That seems like something we could do. Okay, I'm game for that. Sold. Let me just write this down. Partnership. No progress. Discussion. Okay. 29. And our final item on this list. Create tax abatement strategy using deferred tax payments for elderly homeowners on fixed income. So they're basically saying if you are under a certain income and over a certain age, your taxes are limited to a certain amount. In other words, your homeowner taxes. I mean, I don't know. The average value of a home in East Hampton is probably somewhere in the 180 to 230 range.
Probably low twos, I'd say.
Twos, yeah. So, most people are probably looking at somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 on their annual taxes. Am I way off on that?
Probably three-ish.
Three, yeah. So, we're talking about giving tax abatement on $3,000 for elderly homeowners.
Does this already exist?
Don't know.
I think it does actually.
Okay.
I think it exists.
You've heard of something like this?
Yeah, my family home had 2 elderly people in it. So I know there's like a veterans, and I know there's my aunt was blind, so there's breaks, but I don't know if they're.
Are they breaks from the city?
No, they're from the city.
So the mayor's done
I
something.
think there might be.
Vet mayor?
Yeah.
I think you have to apply for it. It's not something that the elders just automatically
Yeah.
get, but there is something.
I don't know if it's like,
Maybe
I don't know if there's like
awareness
once you
about it?
raise a certain, once you reach a certain age. I don't know if it's age or if it's, categories then as well. So that's the thing, is there are some.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I hope there's something like that does exist. A lot of the things on this list we marked vet. So what that means is we have to go get some additional information and come back so that we can change these values to more specific values. We've just completed our chapter on housing. The next step is to sort of break this down and hand it out to everybody. Thank you. How are we doing for time?
You guys just put your passwords so we can.
Yeah, sorry.
So, passed out.
There you go.
And I didn't detail that because I figured this is...
No, yeah, well, I'm going to get this. It's 7:07 now, so we have about 23 minutes left. What I'd like to do is, instead of delegating this out right now, I'd like to organize it into a readable, legible list so that I can email it and everyone can have a good long look at it. So at our next meeting, the first thing we're going to do is to split it up into categories and delegate. If that doesn't take the whole meeting, we'll move to the next chapter and start planning any of those things. That means we'll get out early tonight. Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Are there any reports that anyone had on any of the items that they wanted to discuss from prior meetings, or any other reports? I missed this our last meeting, so I'm going to try and remember this time. Our next scheduled meeting is in 2 weeks, which I think...
Valentine's Day.
Is it Valentine's Day? I'd love to say something like, my wife won't let me work on Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow's the 1st.
I'm afraid that's not
Next
true.
Thursday's the 7th.
So that's the 14th of February?
Yep.
You can work on Valentine's Day?
My son has a performance that night, and I will have a date later on.
Why don't we just go 1 week later, the 21st?
That's fine. All right, we'll meet on the 21st, if everyone's cool with that.
Yep.
All right, February 21st will be our next meeting at 6:30. Probably conference room B, maybe A, I'll let you know.
Can I just maybe remind or clarify then that, so we said, what, was it 3:21?
Oh, yeah.
Can we just
No, that's gonna
leave
move
that?
She
Or
already had you done it on that date.
should we just Just leave it though, and that means we're gonna meet
Well, that
more
would give us,
frequently.
yeah, that would give
for
us
one.
an extra meeting, so that we could dedicate the meeting to the transportation.
Do you wanna do that?
Options, what do you think? Dedicated meeting for transportation people when they come in, and we just talk about that and nothing else? Or we
Maybe
reschedule?
like 3 times in March, which I don't know that I can do 3 times a month.
Then just bump
Is
that
it
up
me?
a week as well, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's
Figure it out, you know,
If you do it that
it's,
way, just bump it up a week, yeah.
All right. Wait a minute.
What?
If we go to the 21st, that means the 7th, you know what, I think I screwed up, so that actually puts us on target. Look,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
I miscounted by a week. So if we go to the 21st, then the 7th is 2 weeks out, and
oh, the 21st.
okay, so
it's like I knew.
Cupid corrected your mistake.
All right, I think we're all on the same page now.
Yep, very good.
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Against all, such a- okay.